your girl, Miss Analytical, and I'm here to give my review of Married to Medicine, Season 9, Episode 4, review title Party Foul episode. So before I begin, I'm going to do this review based on what happened, but I'm also going to really go into depth with Contessa, Heavenly, Toya, Quad, and Anila. So we pick up where we left off with the whole shouting match with Contessa and Heavenly over what she says on her YouTube channel, Heavenly Speaks. And I like that YouTube channel, but I do have to admit, it's one thing when you talk about other people who you don't consider friends, but when you talk about a close friend and their relationships, or even their personal business that happens in the home, it's a very sensitive topic. But I'm going to get to that later with my opinion. So Contessa and Heavenly, they ain't cool at all. Contessa's like, I ain't going to deal with you. I'm done. And Heavenly is like, but you my friend. Like, I didn't think, like a friend would basically do this to me and treat me like this. Like, what's really going on? And so Simone and Toya are being accused by Heavenly of causing the ambush. Because she basically like, I can't trust y'all bees for anything. And if you know the history between those two, particularly Toya and Heavenly don't get along. They're not really friends. So Quad and Anila, they're speaking downstairs. And they're both saying, this wasn't effective at all. And the person was basically ambushed, which is Heavenly. And they didn't get a chance to basically be, remorseful, which is Heavenly, because they were ambushed. And so Simone is basically like, people are offended with the stuff she says online. And Heavenly's like, offended? How could I offend you when your husband put your behavior out there? That wasn't me. That's your husband you really mad at. And I agree with Heavenly on that. And so Quad's basically like, I'm going to call you, Heavenly. We're going to talk. And so Simone is basically like, you basically went at her too last year over the whole thing with if your butt was enhanced. And Simone said, yeah, I did. But the difference is that it was months and months of her talking nonsense about me online. And I finally had enough. You all basically ambushed her and lied and had her thinking that it was a movie night when the movie was basically the stuff she says on YouTube. So no, it's not the same. So Toya's like, both of them had to basically go off on her on live to get Heavenly's attention. Because Toya, I have my issues with Toya, which is separate from that. So Dr. Heavenly and Jackie, they speaking. And what happens is Contessa and Dr. Jackie end up speaking. But in between that, we have Quad basically saying, I'm sick and tired of it. Like, why are you basically saying a lot of stuff on us on your YouTube channel? And that's not cool. Why do you leverage your friends? And Quad is basically telling Neela, why do you treat your friends? Well, not telling to her. She's telling in a confessional, why do you treat your friends like you treat your enemies? So Anila's like, I just ignore it. I don't take any of it serious. And so she's basically saying to her, like, I'm sick of it. And I'm not going to keep continuing letting it go on. She needs to be told that it's wrong. It's bullshit all around, all across the board. And so Quad basically said, tonight was not about getting through to Heavenly. It was getting at Heavenly. And I agree it was. And it's going to make things worse. But it's all for the drama of the show. So Contessa is basically talking to Dr. Jackie. And Heavenly is talking to Dr. Jackie also. But Heavenly says to her, I want to talk to her because, that's my friend. Toya and them other bitches, I don't give a fuck about them bitches. But Contessa was my friend. We were like sisters. We was close. We was tight. And so Jackie's like, you got to understand. She's hurting right now. You can't get mad at her for feeling hurt. And so this was very important, this scene. When Contessa and Jackie spoke, she said to Jackie, I was so wrong about her. But you were right about who she is. You were right about who she completely is as a person. So let me get this straight. Jackie has spoken about Contessa, has spoken about Heavenly to Contessa, which means that when she basically says how it doesn't faze her, yeah, it's something different. Heavenly thinking one thing. See, a lot of stuff gonna come out. So Contessa is like, this is blatant disrespect. This is my family. This is my husband. So Dr. Jackie's like, two wrongs don't make them right. I know you feel like you want to get revenge, but you can't do that. And she was like, she was reckless today. And for what she did, and she didn't apologize. Now I have the right to be reckless. I can be reckless too. So she says, how do you take this? How do you stand and allow her to do the stuff that she does to you? She said, I don't take it serious because what Heavenly says about my marriage, it doesn't have any value in my life. And I think the reason why Jackie also doesn't care is because Jackie is a 2-time survivor of the Big C. And she's had really serious things happen. When you go through stuff like that in life, you could care less what people say about you. So we get to the scene when Toya visits Simone. And those two, they talking about Anila, Jackie, and Quad kissing Heavenly's ass. So Toya is like, are they? No, Simone's like, are they enablers or are they just scared of her? Now, I could tell you one thing about Simone. Simone ain't afraid of Heavenly one bit. And I think if there was a fight, I think that Simone would win. Because the Heavenly says she ain't had a fight at all since she ain't had her ass beat since she was 7 years old. And I think that she don't really fight because I don't think she could fight. But Contessa, she could throw down. Quad can throw down. I think even Toya can. But Heavenly, Jackie, they ain't fighters. So while they talking about the girls, Heavenly lunches with Anila. Now, this is when it gets really interesting. Heavenly's like, I'm shocked about that ambush. I never thought that Tess would do that to me. I expect them fake bitches, Toya and Simone, to do that. But never Tess. I never thought she would do that. And so she ends up saying, the whole thing with Eugene and Toya is very important. She says, Toya got her own problems in her marriage, because what I was told by Quad said that she was in a room where Quad basically is friends with somebody who was in the room with Eugene, and Eugene spoke that Toya was the worst mistake he ever made, and that Toya is basically miserable in her marriage because he don't love her. So while that's going on, we hear Simone and Toya talking, and Simone says something very important. She said, Heavenly speaks on other people's marriages so that she never ever has to speak on her business pertaining to Dr. Damon. And she basically was saying, as in Toya was saying, Eugene's in a vulnerable place in his life. Eugene is going through a lot. And so when that happens, Anila steps in and said, Quad had your back when all this is going on. And she's very upset. And I have like, girl, don't bring that bullshit up with me. She been got over the filler story. She's like, no, I'm not talking about the fillers. I'm talking about the whole situation where you said on your channel, the rumors that she sleeps with married men. She said, I didn't put that rumor out. That was just something that came across. But I never, ever said that she slept with married men. I would never say it. So Anil was like, well, who said it? And they gave the person's name. And so I'm going to tell you who I believe the person who said it, because we've heard it on the show. Lakeisha Mariah Huck. That's who they making reference to. Now, here's the problem with that. You know how Quad feels about the whole thing, Mariah, because Mariah did her dirty. Quad had her back in season 1, took up for her with the whole thing with Carrie and even Toya. And then season 2, turned on the girl, and so she don't fuck with her no more. So what happens is Dr. Contessa is helping a patient named Richard Gardner, who played for the NFL. He basically had, like, his shoulder was injured, but he didn't have any actual feeding. And so she's basically checking to see if he's ever had any head injuries or other injuries, so forth, but everything seems good. So we go to Neela's house, and she's very much struggling. She is really having a hard time balancing blogging and motherhood. And a bear cut his foot, and she really needs help. So she asks her mom if she could help. And she misses Miss Gomez, because Miss Gomez was not just a nanny, she's like a grandmother to kids. And so we get to the scene where they have the party, the Halloween party. But before that, we hear Heavenly talking to Daddy about what happened. Now, this part was funny. When she was saying, me and her, we were like best friends. We were like sisters. And I'm like, Heavenly, I'm getting a sense that you don't really have friends. I'm getting a sense that you don't really have friends. So Dr. Damon tells her, you are the leader of this group. Even if you don't look at yourself as one or not. And he was like, the ladies, they have to, understand that, sometimes, when you say things online and on the internet, you basically can't take it back. And so he says, a lot of people who know Heavenly knows that Heavenly jokes around, but she has great respect for people. And I'm like, Dr. Damon, I don't even think you around your wife like that. What she doing the shit she do. Okay? I'm going to say that. You busy working hard. And I like Dr. Damon. But with this, no. And I like Dr. Heavenly, but no. So he says, the strength of a woman is being meek and soft. Because, with men, we are naturally aggressive. Now, I'm going to say something about that. I'm not a feminist at all. But I've never, ever, ever liked to be a damsel in distress kind of person. I never liked to be a woman who looked like I was docile, who looked like I was basically soft. I've never liked that because I feel, in my opinion, that I feel weak. Now, I'm not aggressive like, I'm going to fuck this nigga up. No, I'm not that kind of woman. But I've never, ever, ever been the kind of person that wanted to be a meek person and soft. I just can't do that shit. I can't. So they're basically going to go to the party at Dr. Simone's. They're going to be, Pharaoh and sexy Cleopatra. So we basically see them at the party. And Cecil is the man from the heist movie. And Dr. Simone is an old rich bitch. Toy and Eugene come there as Beyonce and Jay-Z. Dr. Scott is Muhammad Ali. And Jackie and Curtis are pirates. And Quad is Wonder Woman. Now, this is when it gets messy. The Sajas come in as a moving company. Now, their outfits, if you remember, season 10 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Nene and Greg showed up as exterminators for a Halloween party. So it was like a copycat, and I think it was the show that did that. And so what they did was they was like, hey, we're the movers. We're looking for the Harris family. We're coming in here to basically move, help you guys move. And so Dr. Kieran's like, y'all been moving 3 times in one calendar year. That's legendary. So Toya was like, oh, guys, you're so concerned with me and my husband's moving. That's so adorable. So Neela's like, it's a joke. So Eugene is like, I thought the joke was, disrespectful. I really thought it was asinine. And so what ended up happening is that Toya was mad. And what ends up occurring is that Eugene got upset. And Eugene basically said, this is something that you don't joke about. You don't joke about another man and their family. And so Karen's like, listen, it was all fun and games. But, I didn't think you guys would take it offended because even though it was a fucking joke, this shit is true. So Toya calls homegirl over, Anila, and like, listen, I want to talk to you in private. So she's like, listen, my husband is very much upset with what occurred. And, I understand, it's one thing if we joke around. But it's another thing if my husband gets offended. So Anila's like, but wait a minute. It was a harmless joke. It's Halloween. We're not making mockery of you guys. And so she was like, but then this is what Toya said, as friends, we should respect, how the other person's feelings. And she said, Toya, you are not my friend. So just stop with the BS. So she walks away. Now, I'm going to say something. I actually am one of the people that like Anila. And I like Dr. Karen. Now, this can go both ways. When you put your business out there on Front Street, people are going to say something. They can make mockery of it. And, you just got to deal with it. Now, here's the problem. Eugene is a very quiet person. He don't bother nobody. He's a very respectful guy. He takes bullshit off of Toya. He takes a lot of stuff. He's a guy that basically has gone through a lot the last couple of years because of COVID and also them moving around. And it's taking a toll on his finances, and it's also taking a toll on his mental health. So when he got upset, yes, he was upset at Karen and Anila, but he was also upset at his wife. Now, Anila and Karen, they should have, when they thought about the joke, they should have took into consideration Eugene's feelings. F Toya and her feelings. Because that woman was calling Anila idiot, dumb, stupid. I mean, she disrespected her and was supposed to be her friend. So I don't blame Anila saying to her, you're not my fucking friend. You're not my friend. Because look at how you treated me last year. But when it came to Eugene, that's another story. Eugene never gets involved in the nonsense, just like Dr. Damon. And I think he should have been respected, and I think that it should have been acknowledged as such. So when Karen basically, yes, he was talking about it, and he was pretty much saying, I thought the shit was fucking funny. I think he didn't really take the time to look about what this man might be going through. But at the same token, Eugene got upset a little bit too aggressive and took things to the next level. And it wasn't really called for that. But Eugene, that shit is between you and Toya. Because Toya is milking you. She's taking, well, not milking you, she's taking your pockets. She's using you as basically a hedge fund. That's all. So Dr. Heavenly and Quad has a conversation. And Dr. Heavenly apologizes for what she's been saying on social media about Quad. And she was like, I don't really apologize. I'm not apologizing for other shit because I meant that shit. But with you, I didn't. So Quad says something very important. She says, we're friends. And I'm going to put a stamp on the shit. Now, next time some shit comes out and you meant it, and Heavenly, I'm talking to you. The next time something comes out of your mouth and it's disrespectful to me, I'm going to forego our friendship. And I'm going to tell you something. She is a Taurus. She will mean it. And she will never, ever be her friend again. She won't. Okay? See, Heavenly has never had anybody really, really check her, but Quad will be the one to do it. So what happens is Cecil and Curtis have the guys all come over to like this place where they drink beer and throw axes at the board. And he wants a resolution to happen between Eugene and Karen. Now, these are two non-doctors. One's a coach, the other is a real estate agent. Bringing two physicians together to solve their issues. Now, Dr. Martin, here's my thing. He's the new guy. He's a friend to the show. What is his purpose there? I know we have 4 episodes with him, but at least with Buffy and her husband, who's a psychiatrist, they were pretty much there at the forefront. If you're not going to have the wife really speak, what's the point of Dr. Martin being there? You know, I just want to throw that out. So Eugene basically says, you know, I was offended that you used me and my wife as the butt of the joke when it came to moving. And so Karen, you know, I apologize, but I still think this shit is fucking funny. And he was like, you see, now you're doubling down on what you did. And he was like, it's not cool. So basically, Dr. Karen was like, listen, I don't think it was offensive. And I think you're taking this shit too far. And I'm really sick of this motherfucking thing. And so Eugene said, call me a motherfucker again. Now, with the edits, I didn't hear Dr. Karen say Eugene is a motherfucker. But we don't know. He might have said it. Eugene doesn't get upset like that. So there's a lot going on more at home. He's dealing with a lot. But Toya's not helping. Now, I'm going to go back to the Contessa and Heavenly situation because here's my thing. I actually feel that both of them are right and both of them are wrong. They're both right because, number one, if I'm your friend and I'm a close friend and I tell you things, why are you going online repeating it? Number two, if I am your friend, you don't make mockery of my marriage to say things about my husband, such as, I think he's abusing you, whether it's social, whether it's mental or verbal. You don't mention my marriage. Now, Heavenly is right because it's a YouTube channel. She reviews the episodes. And when people ask a question, she's been doing this channel for 6 years. There was never a problem until Contessa situation came and she got upset. So it's like, you're not mad at me because I didn't do anything to you but be a good friend. You're mad at your husband. When we was at the reunion and he came hovered over you, you was shaking. And I was scared. And we all said something, including Toya and Simone. So that's why I said they're both right. But here's why they're both wrong. Contessa, you was not supposed to do that ambushing thing. You was basically supposed to let her know, hey, you know, I do want to talk with you amongst the group about the stuff that you're doing online. It's not cool. It's affecting my mental. And I have people coming up to me and they not feeling it. My husband's not feeling it. Nor the children shouldn't be knowing, but other members of my family. It's not cool. She should have did that instead of doing an ambush. And Heavenly, you were wrong because you're making money at the end of the day talking bad about your friends and talking your friends' business. Are you going to be these girls' friends or are you going to be their enemy? Because you can't do it both. You can't be their friend and then talk about them and say things like, oh, Quad sleep with married men, from what I heard. You should never do that. Or Curtis always having some butt shaking in his face. Don't do that. Or talk about Simone and Cecil. You know, you don't do that. So that's my review for Married to Medicine Season 9, Episode 4, party foul. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Hit the notification bell to receive notices on uploads, lives, and reviews. Comment, like, and share, and I'll be back later. Take care and have a good day.